Here's another example on writing functions. We have an amusement park charges a $6 parking fee plus $29.99 per person. We want to write this as a function, okay? But to get there, we need to do several steps first. First step is identify which of the variables is the dependent and the independent variable. So to do that, let's first identify the variables. An amusement park charges a $6 parking fee plus $29.99 per person. So that means that the total cost in this park depends on what? Does it depend on the parking fee? No, the parking fee is a fixed fee. It doesn't matter how many people go in your car with you. The parking is $6. Okay? So the total cost for this amusement park does not depend on the parking fee. What does it depend on? It depends on the amount of people because it's going to cost $29.99 per person. So the total cost depends on the amount of people. That means the total cost is one of the variables, okay? The charge, or the cost. That's one of the variables. The other variable is the amount of people, okay? The amount of people. So there are your two variables. Which of these two is the dependent variable? Well, the total cost. The total cost is the dependent variable because the total cost depends on who? On the amount of people that go with you to this amusement park. Okay? So if total cost is the dependent variable, then the other variable must be the number of people. Okay? Now remember again, in class we usually write y as my dependent variable, and we usually write x as my independent variable, but in this case I'm going to use p for people, okay? You can do that. Instead of x, I'm going to use p for people. No problem there, okay? Now my second step is write an equation. How do I write this equation that shows how these two variables relate? Well, I can write an equation very quickly. I know the total cost, which is y. I know that the total cost will equal, what will this equal? It'll be $6 for parking, 6, plus $29.99 per person. So $29.99 p. P is the amount of people. And there you have your equation. If this is too hard for you to do, then I advise you to create a table because this will help you see where this equation comes from. So let's do the table, but this part you don't have to do. If you can do this quickly, you don't have to do this part of the table. So here we go. I have the number of people, P, and I have the total cost, Y. Okay, this would usually be your X and your Y. Okay, but we're using P for people. So if one person goes, what would the total cost be? Well, the total cost would be $6 plus $29.99 times one person. If two people go, then the cost would be $6 plus $29.99 times two people. Yes, does that make sense? And if three people go, then this would be 6 plus $29.99 times 3 people. Okay, and I'm not going to calculate how much this is because I'm not interested in knowing the total cost. I just want to know what the equation is. Okay, so notice that for y, how do we get y once we know what p is? Well, look at what's happening. Every time I have an x, I plug it in here. Every time I get an x, I plug it in here. Every time I have an x value, I plug it in here. In this case, a p value, okay? P, P, P. So this tells you, just looking at this expression in this row, that y is equal to 6 plus $29.99 times 1, 2, 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 8 or 10 or 1,000 people, which we represent with the variable p. And there is your equation, okay? So 2 ways to find this equation. I hope this helps. If it doesn't, just try and write it directly like we did there. Once I have my equation, we wrote that y is equal to 6 plus 2999p. Now I want to write it as a function, okay? So how do we do that? We said that y depends, in this case, y depends on p. And that's what we had said here. The total cost, which is y, depends on the number of people, which is p. So y depends on p. This is the same thing as saying that y is a function of p. And what that means is that y depends on p, but in math terms, y is a function of p, okay? And when I say y is a function of p, I'm saying that y is the equal sign f for function of p. And this is the notation for function. Once I know this is the notation for function, I can take this equation and rewrite it as f of p is equal to 6 plus 2999p. All I did was take the y value, I took this y value, and I rewrote it as f of p. That's all we did. We substituted the writing, okay? Now, let's say I didn't use p as my variable. Let's say I used t. Then this would be f of t equals 6 plus 2999t. Okay? How about if I didn't use t? What about if I used, I don't know, h, or not h, let's say m. I don't know, for moms, the amount of moms that went to the amusement park. If I use m, then this would be f of m is equal to 6 plus 29.99 per mom, okay, etc. The important thing is that this variable inside the parentheses always matches the variable in your expression. Okay, I'll see you in the next video.